Imagine you're waiting in line at an ATM. There's no one else around besides you and the person in front of you using the machine, when suddenly they collapse to the ground, motionless. What do you do? Life threatening illnesses and injuries happen every day, and they can happen to anyone. Bystander intervention can be the difference between life and death. I spent the past 4 years as an Army medic, where I maintained my EMT certificate for 4 years, and I've also maintained my basic life support certificate for the past 9 years. Emergency medicine is something that I'm very passionate about, mainly because of my personal experiences administering emergency aid and receiving emergency aid, but also because of my fascination with the field of medicine in general. Today, we're going to talk about basic life support. So let's take a look at the things that we're going to discuss today. First, we're going to take a look at the first two steps of bystander intervention. Then, we're going to look at two major life-threatening illnesses. And then finally, we're going to take a look at two different levels of certification for pre-hospital emergency care. So first, let's look at those two steps of bystander intervention. The first step being call 911. This starts the emergency response system, which creates the best possible survival odds for the patient. Without calling 911, the patient probably won't get the care that they need to survive. The second step being what is known as the scene size up. Now, Derek Cooney, in his book titled Cooney's EMS Medicine, which was published October 22nd of 2015, he states that the scene size up is important not only so that the patient can get the supplies that they need for the situation, and you evaluating and notifying 911 of the situation so they can come prepared, but also it is important for the bystander and the person providing care for the patient, because if the bystander becomes injured, unconscious, or deceased, then they won't be able to call 911. If the EMS providers that show up don't take into account scene safety and they get injured, then they can't provide the care that that patient needs. So now that we've looked at the two steps of bystander intervention, let's take a look at two major life-threatening illnesses. The first one being heart attack. Now, the American Heart Association is the known leading institution for heart issues. In an article on heart.org, which is the website for the American Heart Association, in an article on heart.org, John McFarland, in January 21st of 2020, states that BLS, CPR, are John McFarland, January 21st, 2020, states a few different signs and symptoms of heart attack. He says that sometimes they can start suddenly and fast, but most commonly, heart attacks have a slow, gradual onset with symptoms such as chest pain or discomfort, face pain or discomfort or pain in the arms, abdomen. But some other important signs that are not listed in the article are if someone suddenly loses consciousness, if the patient doesn't have a pulse, if the patient is not breathing, or all of the above. Now, the other life-threatening illness that we're going to discuss is a stroke. Now, the American Heart Association uses the acronym FAST, F-A-S-T, as the warning signs for stroke. F, standing for facial droop. Ask the person to smile. If the two sides of the face don't operate as they normally do, then we have a problem. The A standing for arm sway. Ask the patient to lift their arms. If one of their arms is doing this and they think that they're lifting their arms evenly, there's an issue. S stands for speech difficulty. Ask the person to repeat a simple sentence. The sky is blue. If the sentence does not come out of their mouth the way that you said it to them, we have an issue. And then the T stands for time to call 911. If the patient was positive for any of those tests, time to take them to a hospital as soon as possible. Now, we've just looked at two major life-threatening illnesses. Now, let's discuss two different levels of pre-hospital emergency care. The first being BLS, which stands for Basic Life Support. Now, this is taught through the American Heart Association as well as the American Red Cross, although it is most notably recognized through the American Heart Association. BLS teaches CPR and the use of an AED for everyday people as well as healthcare professionals. The second level of pre-hospital care that we're going to discuss is EMTB, which stands for Emergency Medical Technician Basic. Now, this level of certification is a bit more advanced than BLS. Actually, it's considerably more advanced. It's a 12-unit course, which you can take at your community college. But this course is tailored for people who have a desire to work in the capacity of an EMT or paramedic. So, we've just discussed two levels of pre-hospital care. Now, let's recap on the things we've discussed today. So first, we discussed two levels of bystander intervention, or two steps of bystander intervention. Then we talked about two major life-threatening illnesses. And then finally, we spoke about two different levels of pre-hospital care. So today, we took a look at basic life support. Now we know what to do when that person collapses in front of us at the ATM.